guys, welcome back to Hear Me Out. I'm E.
I'm D.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about nostalgia. As you know, we're millennials here, so we love anything like Britney Spears. We used to like NSYNC. We love Backstreet Boys. I
hmm
guess sprinkle in some Christina Aguilera, J Lo. Some people liked her, but basically anything 99s, 2000s, and some years prior. So we stumbled upon this article from Variety, I believe.
Yes.
And it's primarily talking about Justin Timberlake, the real villain, by the way, and Jennifer Lopez, aka Jenny from the Block, aka She Ain't from the Bronx No More, according to a lot of the internet's comments. But the title of this article is Justin Timberlake, Jennifer Lopez, and the Challenge of Aging Pop Career Gracefully. Is that
Ooh.
possible? Je ne sais pas.
Well, this article is written by Jem Aswad, and it begins 50 may be the new 40 in some areas of life, but popular music isn't one of them. With very few exceptions, pop musicians make their most vital work in their 20s and early 30s. And even if they continue to perform to sold out arenas into their 80s, as the Rolling Stones have, the fans are largely indifferent to their new music and just want to hear the hits, leading to the seemingly counterintuitive situation of artists with sold out tours connected to new albums that are comparatively anyway flops. Whew, dang. Okay. So, even those who've tried to continue innovating, the Stones with the early Prince flavored emotional rescue and the dub inflections of Undercover, Bowie's ill advised explorations of industrial and drum and bass in the 90s, eventually realized that's not what their fans wanted and reverted to some form of their former selves, usually with lucrative results. That's the common model now. At the top of the spectrum, many of the above mentioned artists enjoy a comfortable lifestyle of multi-million dollar grossing greatest hits tours in arenas and stadiums, with the new material serving as a bathroom break for the audience. Oh, harsh. But still they try, and like every rite of passage since the dawn of humanity, each generation has to learn it for themselves. Recent cases in point, the new albums for Justin Timberlake and Jennifer Lopez, and Madonna's celebration tour. So, in January, Timberlake's long expected but unfortunately timed return from the wilderness was preceded by a bulldozer of a rollout, as familiar and heavy handed as it was safe and dated. A week of daily, increasingly loud announcements and online teasers leading up to a song release and album and tour announcement, and an obnoxiously self referential appearance on Saturday Night Live featuring a revival of his long standing bromance with Jimmy Fallon. The two of them not only chewed up the scenery but went full Godzilla on it, crashing into show host Dakota Johnson's opening monologue like a reunited pair of drunken college bros, and then reviving one of their tired old skits all in the show's first 15 minutes. The bulldozer rollout continued in the weeks leading up to the album, with club shows in Memphis, New York, and Los Angeles, the latter of which briefly delivered a mouth-watering moment for fans. The NSYNC reunion that he'll hook up with but won't commit to. Minus the reunion, it's almost identical to the rollout for his 2020 Experience album over a decade ago, as is the album itself, which comes off like trying to squeeze into an outfit you rocked in your early 30s that might still look good, but it's way too tight in the crotch. The music on Everything I Thought It Was is a solid, if predictable, revival of his classic sound, but at times cringingly sexual lyrics are like being forced to watch the happily married couple Timberlake lovingly sings about in other songs, drunkenly dirty dancing. Oh, jeez. Marital bliss, even as a happy ending, doesn't have enough friction to opiate the 2020s masses either. Just as J-Lo, who's This Is Me Now, is a self-absorbed and self-financed 20 million multi-platform story of her reunion with Ben Affleck, a romance that was shipwrecked 2 decades ago, largely by Geely, their vilified 2003 rom-com collaboration. Lopez was focused on film in recent years, and it shows. The two films associated with the project have landed relatively well, but the album, her first in a decade, was crushed critically, debuting at a deflating number 38 on the Billboard 200 and then dropped from sight. Her accompanying first North American tour in 5 years is said to be selling poorly. Ooh, oh man. Okay. Which brings us to Madonna, who finally hit pause on overloading her concerts with subpar new material and launched a triumphant greatest hits tour last year. Prince, her revival and contemporary, had showed a similar stubbornness from the mid 90s to the early 2000s, issuing a series of mostly dreadful albums while flatly refusing to play hits during many of his concerts. Whew. With characteristic contrariness, Madonna waited to make such a move until she literally reached retirement age. Instead, doling out a handful of classics during her concerts while forcing fans to sit through long segments of the pompously conceptual Madame X or the sterile dance pop of MDNA. Not surprisingly, the Celebration Tour has been received with a level of religious reverence the singer hasn't inspired in decades. Whew.
Hmm.
So, it often goes in the mature era of a formerly can do no wrong musical career when age and decades of success cocoon the superstar from reading how completely the room temperature has changed. So, who is aging gracefully? It's an ongoing challenge that has no one size fits all. Sade, Missy Elliott, Maxwell, and even the late George Michael thrive on scarcity, under delivering rather than overdoing it and leaving people thirsting for more. Sade has toured just twice and released only 2 albums in the past 25 years, although the group was reported to be working on a new material in 2018. Side note completely. Who knew Sade was a group? Because I didn't know that. I learned that last year.
Thought it was just her.
I thought it was just her too. So I learned this last year and I was very confused. Very confused. Okay, sorry. Back on track, y'all. Whew, alrighty. Others like Kelly Clarkson, Mary J. Blige, Queen Latifah, and Pink maintain music careers while parlaying their screen savvy into talk shows, acting, hosting, or podcasts. Although it feels unfortunate that some stellar vocalists are using their voices on talking, it's a different kind of celebrity that has equal potential to make people's lives better. I agree. Um, let's see. We also have here, to be fair, apart from the ham-handed lyrics, in a way, Timberlake's new album shows that he may have learned at least part of the lesson. After his 2018 album Men of the Woods, a partial attempt to branch out into more rootsy sounds landed disastrously. He's gone back to the energetic pop R&B and made him into the icon he is. On SNL, we got all of it and then some on his first song, the would-be banger Sanctified, which saw him joined by a talented but hyperactive band and a battery of dancers, finishing with 20 people on the small stage. The performance was immediately followed by an ad for his forthcoming year-plus long tour. It was like watching a bachelor party flexing down the Las Vegas Strip in an open-top stretch limo on New Year's Eve. Brutal! But his second track was the opposite, accompanied by just 2 musicians and a backing track. He sang Selfish, the album's soft launch first single, a beautiful R&B tinged ballad with a lilting melody and a falsetto flip on chorus that's a perfect fit for his soulful voice. And as he soared through the song's peaks and dips and caressed the lyrics and melody with that voice and his graceful and trained gestures, gradually building the intensity into a peak on the middle section before easing it gently back down for the ending, you are reminded all over again what a world-class singer and what a one in a million talent he is. Why? Because there was no clutter of noise or hamming. It was just him and the song. Maybe that's how it's done. Whew, I
Mm.
know that was a lot, guys, but this was a very, very well orchestrated article. We're going to have that in our description. You guys can read the whole thing because there was a lot more in there. But we wanted to just kind of stick to the primary, which is Justin Timberlake and Jennifer Lopez. So, anyway, what do we think?
I'm gonna tell you what the problem is. The problem is that before I start dissing J Lo, I'm gonna tell you what the problem is. The problem is these celebrities, they get to a place where they think that they're all that in a bag of chips. And yes, I'm using a millennial term. Probably I'm aging myself. I don't care. But they get to this level of stardom where they feel like sometimes that they're untouchable, unrelatable. Well, my fans will always love me and I'll have XYZ kind of thing, and they fall off. And by fall off, I mean they don't produce projects. They all of a sudden they don't want paparazzi around. So we know that the late 90s, early 2000s, before this whole internet craze, social media craze,
Mm-hmm.
paparazzis were the thing. Like we
Right.
would buy the magazines, they were always being chased around. And I think J Lo and even bringing up Kim Kardashian, they wanted that paparazzi to interview them. They
Yeah.
wanted that, shimmer of light to
Yeah.
be, imposed upon them. So I think when they've reached this level of success, such as In Sync and then Justin going solo, and J Lo with her music, the movie Selena, the rom coms that she does, which they were hits.
Mm-hmm.
They, you know, they do their thing, and then they fall off of Hollywood. So then they expect their fan base to be patiently waiting for them to come back, and then they want to resurrect what they used to do. But times have changed. As we know, the 2000s, at least what we used to listen to, was very pop centric.
Yeah.
Rap was coming like heavy for us, and hip hop, R&B. So I think that that's been long standing for the last decade or two. So I think it's hard to infiltrate what you used to be into today's culture and today's attention span and today's social media. It's just difficult. You can't leave your fans out there and expect them, to be happy when you come back and think you're doing all these grandiose things when it's really subpar. We liked you initially for the things that you did. You don't need to, be a little more hip hop or shake your ass a little more or do XYZ or try to emulate other people. That's not the initial reason we liked you. So I think they have a problem with identity. They have a problem with, letting go of Hollywood. It's okay, guys, I promise. We seen Drew Barrymore go into talk shows, Jennifer Hudson. We've seen a whole bunch of celebrities going into podcasts, just venturing into other things, and they've proven to be successful. I just think sometimes that these artists don't want to evolve. What do you think?
I don't know what to say. You said everything.
Oh, I felt inspired. I'm like, this is such a good article that you sent me. I was really into it.
Well, and like, so the reason why I looked into that is because like 2024 just started. Like technically it just started, right? We are barely 3.5 months in, but we've already gotten so much news, so many new projects of people, and there's, I feel like you said, the biggest thing is people's attention spans are not what they used to be.
Mhm.
Before, we couldn't easily access music. We had to buy CDs, right?
Remember LimeWire?
Or we had to use LimeWire. And no, we didn't have Apple Music. We didn't have Spotify. I think they used to have, what was that one MP3 one, or like oh
Pandora?
no, it was way before Pandora.
The
Was
MP.
it like Snapper? Or, I don't even know. It was like
Oh,
a
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
Okay.
like yeah, so that was what it was before, right? And we had to like literally like
Like a
listen.
SoundCloud kind of thing.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of before
Mhm.
SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So we had to actually like listen to the music, right? Because when you're playing a CD, it wasn't like just as simple to like fully like get through it all. You had to like actually pay attention. And I mean, like if you recall back during the TRL days, the way that people would be outside waiting for Backstreet Boys, waiting for NSYNC, waiting
Yeah.
for Britney Spears, every time they would do an album drop, it would shut down Times Square every
Mhm.
single time. That doesn't happen anymore because nobody has to wait in line to buy a CD. Nobody has to like wait in line to really like see artists like that. They're on social media. They do lives, they get on this and do that. So I think they're maybe too accessible in some ways
Mhm.
and not necessarily in terms of their craft. So there's like a disconnect now, and where like before we we would get or we would try to decipher information about them through their music, through their projects. Now it's just kind of like, okay, we just see whatever's on social media or
Yeah.
whatever the tabloids are, pushing out. So I think the magic is gone, and I feel like Justin Timberlake, obviously we've had very strong opinions about him since Britney Spears' memoir, The Woman in Me, I believe is what it was called.
Hmm.
And I just feel like it's hard to look at him the same way. I think we had already talked about before how we weren't really feeling about him the same way even before the memoir.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that he has not learned how to evolve with people, with the generations and all that. You have like you have artists like Drake, who, even though I don't really listen to him anymore, plenty of people still do. He's still putting out albums and he's still making the charts and he's still staying on the charts. That says something about his longevity. And if we're
But there
going to
has
talk about
been no
longevity,
pause.
the what?
There hasn't been any pause since he came. He's just
Yeah.
dropping album, dropping music, collaborations, and things like that. And then these artists, they gave us all their hits and then they disappeared.
Yes, that's true.
So
It's
the
very true.
attention span is like now we're focused on Drake. We're not focused on Justin Timberlake. We're focused on NSYNC actually, not even Justin Timberlake. It's like,
It's
are
very
y'all coming back or are you not? I'm not supporting them anymore because they supported Justin. But I'm just saying, we were excited initially before this whole Britney Spears story came about that we wanted to go to NSYNC concert. I
Yeah.
went to a Backstreet Boys concert in 2022 and I loved it. It made my whole life. But Justin, I think he thinks he's hot shit. And I don't, it's
Never let that.
unrelatable to me.
He's never let that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with
Yeah.
J Lo. J
Mm-hmm.
Lo still sees herself as that girl in the Versace dress. J
Yeah.
Lo still sees herself as the
The
woman, even though technically to this day she is still the only woman to have had a number one movie and number one album at the same time. She still has that. She still holds that record, but she still thinks she's that same person, and she's not. And all I've seen for days on TikTok are people stitching her video where she talks about her hair, reminding her of when she used to run up and down the block in the Bronx. And people are like, "What block, J Lo? What block? Is the block with us in the same room? Like, what's going on here?" Because this is like, it just it doesn't connect with people. And not only that, people don't forget certain things. We all have like very short attention spans. We all have bad memories, but people will never forget the way you make them feel.
Mhm.
And the word on the street is J Lo's made a lot of people feel bad.
Mhm.
So there's not a lot of love for her out in these streets. Certainly not a lot of love for her in the Bronx or the block. Like
Yeah.
it just not there. So I think she just doesn't want to see it. And I I feel like this might be just like a reality check maybe for both her and Justin.
Mhm.
Nobody's Beyonce. At the end of the day, that's all it is. Nobody's Beyonce. Nobody can touch Beyonce. Beyonce's still doing what she's doing. They can't copy her. And I promise you that Taylor Swift in 10 years will still be like raking in the dough the same way that Beyonce is. Beyonce's been doing this for like almost 30 years, I think.
The
Like
90s. Yeah.
it's insane.
Mhm.
Her tour was like, if it hadn't been for the fact that Taylor also was on tour, her tour would have been the highest grossing tour of all time. So this is a woman who's already in her 40s, has a family, 3 kids, and some way somehow she's managed to keep people interested. Justin and JLo can't do that. I don't.
Just that shows you like who really loves it. I don't like Beyonce, but I'll give her kudos right now. It just shows you who really loves their craft. Beyonce
Yeah,
has been doing music with Destiny's Child and then solo since like what, 80s, 90s, since she was
yeah,
born basically.
nice.
And even though I don't like her evolution now, she's evolved throughout her music and fans have followed her.
Yeah.
And the same thing could be said with, Taylor Swift
Hmm.
or even Mariah Carey. I'll listen to a Mariah Carey song at any time of the day. And
Yeah.
we're reminded of Mariah Carey as soon as Thanksgiving is over. November
Man,
26th, 27th, 28th. As soon as we hear the jingle, it's time. It's time. That's it. It's Mariah time.
the jingle starts November 1st. Like, not even the
That's
20.
true.
We
We
can
just bypass. We just bypass Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Let's say that's somebody who always stays in our minds. We look forward to listening to that song starting
Yeah.
November 1st through December 31st.
Yeah.
Or till you put your tree away, kind of thing. So
Might take a couple weeks into the new year, but it goes away eventually.
like I mentioned before with Lo, what happened to her helping her people in Puerto Rico? People remember that. They're saying that in the comments. What
That she
Bronx
did it.
Lo? You haven't been here in 30 years. Like, what have you done for people besides taking their money? Why do you
Dang.
do those faces?
Because it be hitting me, and I'm just like, dang. Because so obviously you guys know that a lot of the time we don't agree on things, but it's
Yeah.
like I can't even argue. Like what can I argue here?
Like, I
Nothing.
couldn't argue with Beyonce. I'm like, I can't. Like, the consistency is there, the evolution is there. You just can't,
Yeah.
think you're amazing, for the rest of your career. You just got to keep that momentum going.
Look at the fact that Beyonce is doing a country album and now everybody's wearing cowboy outfits everywhere. Everywhere.
Driving me crazy.
Same. Same because I live in Texas, y'all. It's a little strange for me. But she did that off of just dropping 2 songs.
Hmm.
2 songs. Everybody immediately. Full blown country outfits. Viral videos to her, like dance videos to her songs. I don't know what JLo was trying to do with her documentary slash movie slash music video, long form, whatever that was, but it didn't hit in the way she thought it would.
Hmm.
And
They call it self-absorbed. Wait, I'm looking for the word.
so
Self-absorbed and self-financed $20 million multi-platform story about her and Ben. They're not that important to me. They could have done a better documentary.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And and then if you think about it, like when people think about Jennifer and Ben, they think Jennifer Garner now and Ben
Mm.
because of the, footage and pictures we've seen.
True.
It's not necessarily like okay, I'm gonna give y'all an example. I feel terrible saying this, but like, because I like J-Lo,
Uh-huh.
but I feel terrible. So the other day, I don't know if it was Saturday, the Lakers were playing against the Warriors. So my partner was watching the game, I was half paying attention. And then he's like, "Oh, look who it is. It's J-Lo." And then I was like, "Who's that with her?" Because it didn't click in my head that her husband was sitting next to her. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." Like escaped me entirely. Didn't even realize.
I'm not even gonna say what I was thinking. I'm gonna leave it there, but y'all know what I'm thinking. If she hasn't been consistent with her music, we know where else she hasn't been consistent with. But I didn't say it. I didn't say it though. To each their own. Find your happiness. I'm not judging.
What do you say? If you like it, I love it.
You like it, I love it.
Horrible.
But guys, that concludes today's video. Let us know what you think in the comments. Um, can a celebrity age gracefully in Hollywood? Should they just give up
Dang.
and just retire in the sunsets of California, or should they reinvent themselves and we'll still follow? Let us know what you think. But if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also, please share our video. We're trying to grow our community so your friends could be our friends and we could all be friends. I don't know if y'all want to be friends with us because we are cuckoo cuckoo, but we're cool peeps. We also have social media, which Dee will tell you about.
We're on TikTok and Instagram at Hear Me Out DNE. Also, guys, you can listen to our videos in podcast form, both on YouTube and Spotify. So, hey, if you don't have a chance to actually watch the videos, you can still hear our craziness, in podcast format. So we'll be adding a lot more to all of that, so you guys can listen to pretty much all of our videos or most of our videos. But anyway, so yeah, follow, share, comment on the socials. We would love to be able to interact with you guys. In our description is also the links to our IG and TikTok, just to make it easier for y'all.
So, guys, hear us out, and we're signing out. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.